Greetings, everyone. This is the LCS Week 6 SK Gaming Conference. As you can see, we have a small lineup change. Our owner, Alex Miller, had to go away on certain duties, so I will be filling in for him. My name is Daniel, for those of you who don't know me. I've been with SK since 2012, writing about League of Legends. Together with me, our coach, Lukas and, of course, our top laner, Fredy122. So the agenda for today is we're going to take a look at last week's games. We're going to talk about this week's games, and we'll take some Twitch chat questions as usual. So I'm going to start with Fredy. So Simon, last week we went 1-1, a rather unfortunate loss against Elements, and a pretty good win against H2K. What is your take on the games, especially the one against Elements?
Well, the Elements game was really frustrating. We should have won it. We threw like twice when we didn't need to even fight. We could have just kept split pushing with Shen, but yeah, it was a really hard loss because it was quite important for us as well. And when we lost it, we didn't know we would win H2K, so we were like, oh, crap, that's not good. But yeah, we played really well against H2K, so it made the Elements loss more bearable because we won against H2K. So yeah, we're still in a decent spot, and if we do well this week, then we're in a playoff position. So yeah.
So the difference between, I think, third place or fourth is actually 2 wins. So if you go 2-0 this week, things are potentially looking really well. So what is your take on the matches with Roccat and Giants?
I think the Roccat game will be harder than last time we played them. I don't really know why, it's just a feeling I have, but it's a really important game for us. If we win it, we're in a super good spot because we're 2-0 against them. We'll be tied with them and we'll be 2-0, so we'll be ahead of them. But if we lose, it's super bad for us as well. So this really important game versus Roccat. I'd say the Giants game is not as important, but we still want to win, obviously. But yeah, we're just aiming for the playoff spot right now.
Lukas, the game versus Elements is a very interesting one because on one hand, we did outplay them in a sense, so the glass was half full. And in the end, many consider that we threw the game by not ending it. So the glass is half empty. As a coach, how did you, from your point of view, how did that game go?
Well, I wouldn't add or change anything regarding that statement. So we could take out good stuff out of the game and bad stuff as well. And the bad stuff was obviously just, being a little bit impatient or not calling things properly. So that should be comparably easy to fix if you compare that to the struggles we had in the first weeks, where we didn't know how to play the game itself. So the bad things, it's always better to have bad things which are easier to identify and to work on. So yeah, of course, everybody was disappointed, but as Simon already pointed out, the win against H2K was super important. And I think we played both games pretty well.
So last week, Fox talked about Elements being a very mid-centric team, and we saw Hampus really step up his game, delivering good performances. How would you assess Hampus during last week?
Me?
Yes, Lucas. Yeah.
Yeah, Hampus is getting stronger and stronger as a player, but that has to do with the in-game tactic and the changes we did. I won't go into detail because obviously we won't tell too much about interior processes here. But as you can see, he's been getting better and better, and I really like that. You can see if you compare alone, like the bans which we have on mid lane and which we had on last split, that there's a vast improvement in, I would say, confidence as well. So he does not need as many resources and picks and bans. So he's comfortable or more comfortable in playing matchups which are not as favored. And yeah, so he is one, I wouldn't say the main, but one of the reasons why we are performing better in the last weeks. Yeah.
Fredy, I have a question for you this time. So many describe the relationship between you and Svenskeren in game as one of the key components in the machine of SK. So last week we saw the Gragas Shen combo, and then you had a really good performance against H2K as well. Have you and Sven like found your groove back? Can we claim that?
I guess, but I think it's more just the whole team found a style to play. We're not trying to play a style that we weren't used to, because we're in the first few weeks we tried to copy the top teams too much, including the champs they play, and it just didn't really work for us. But now it's we found champions that like fit into the style, and the patch change kind of helped with that as well. But that's how it goes. So yeah, I think we both feel a lot more comfortable right now. We can play a more natural style rather than playing forced, which was what we were trying to do for the first 6 weeks, 6 games.
You had a really good game on Shen. What is your take on the pick currently in the meta?
I think he's really good. He's solid one-on-one. It's like a solid game plan with him. If you pick Shen, you know what you're gonna do, and you can just teleport back to lane and not care about saving your teleport because you have your ult. So I think he's a really good pick right now, and yeah, I like him.
Okay, so I think we're safe to move on to this week. So first game will be versus Roccat. Fredy, this is again a question for you. So last year we had, or last split, no, it was more like last year. Jankos and Sven were always fighting for the #1 spot jungler in Europe. And this time you're facing, like if we take both of you as a pair, we have another very rather strong pair of Steve and Jankos. So what threat does Roccat pose against SK today? What's their biggest threat? Like what are you preparing the most for?
Well, I don't really want to go too much into that because in case they're watching right now, but I'm just gonna say that I think they're strong. I think Jankos and Sven are obviously 2 different style of junglers. I mean, we're gonna talk about what we're gonna do later, so I can't really say much. But yeah, I don't know.
In that case, let's rephrase it. How do you see the matchup versus Steve?
I think Steve is getting a lot better. Last week, had 2 really good games, and they played around top quite a lot. I'm not really worried about the matchup, but I'm not being like arrogant or anything. I think he's a good player.
Lukas, how did our boys prepare for Roccat? Without, of course, giving too much away. So how do you think that this match will go?
Historically, we have been always, seeming to have the edge against Roccat, but I think the style which they played and the pickups that they did in the last weeks obviously helped them. So I wouldn't say that we have got an automatic advantage here. I think it will be pretty important on how picks and bans go, because that's always translate into like how the game basically is played. And I'm interested into seeing what kind of comp Roccat has trained this week, because they have been playing different styles as well. So we should be careful about what they do and answer accordingly. That's how I would put it. But I think it will be a pretty close and a pretty good game.
Last week, in a question with Alex, you mentioned that teams who do mid-split roster changes, you consider that a rather bad move. So Roccat did exactly that by swapping Wula and Rales. What do you think of this change, and will this have like a positive effect for us, like lack of synergy of some sorts? What is your opinion on that?
It's always hard to guess that. I mean, in 3 or 4 weeks you can judge that move. But I think generally, I didn't know Steve before, so I can't say much about him. Maybe Simon can take over after that. But I think Mr. Rales always was a good LCS player, and I think that pickup was pretty intelligent anyway. So Simon, what about Steve? Did you know him from Challenger or solo queue?
I knew him from solo queue. I talked to him a bit as well, and I know he played a long time, so he really wants it. I think that's his biggest strength right now. He has that motivation of a new player. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have bad things to say about him. That's pretty much it.
All right, the Gens game is going to be interesting because they're always a wild card. So Fredy, how's the matchup against Worthy be? I know he's very inconsistent. Sometimes he shows up extremely well. Other times he just gets crushed. What is your take on that?
Worthy is annoying to play against because he's like a split push top laner. I don't think he's ever gonna leave top lane. So that can be really annoying to deal with sometimes when you know how your opponent wants to play like that. But I don't know how the Giants matchup will go. I think we can do good against them.
Lukas, how does one prepare for a team which is either hot or cold? Giants had a good start, then they lost some games which they should have won. They won some games which they should have lost. How do you as a coach tackle this problem of uncertainty?
Honestly, we try to not like alter our preparation too much depending on the team. And if the team is like playing a little bit like randomly or bringing up too many comps or too many playstyles, then it's generally not advisable to prepare too much about what they have played in the past. You should focus on yourself in that instance and try to get control in the game, and get a controlled plan, because that's what I feel is the antidote towards chaotic play.
A question for Fredy. How much do you think the Godfred pickup actually boosted Giants in strength? Is it just the community thinks that Godfred, had an influx of skill or maybe like good attitude towards the lineup? Is it that, or is it just placebo? They were always meant to be hot and cold or this good?
I think it's with the lineup they have, it's kind of natural that they would be inconsistent, but I think he gave them a morale boost when he came in. That's for sure. I mean, you can see that they went 4-0 or something like that. So they're fourth in the table right now. So compared to last split, they're a lot better. And I think Godfred was like really good on Alistair and stuff, which were the champs that were like really strong at the time, especially at the start of the split. So of course he had an effect. It's not like the best player ever, but he's good and he had an effect. So.
All right, so this is for the both of you, like a closing question, and then we're going to move on to Twitch chat. How do you think this week will go? Realistic evaluation.
I think if we win the first game, then we will probably win both. So I think the Roccat game is important.
Yeah, agreed. I don't know. It could be we could go 2-0. It could be that we go 1-1, and it could go 0-2 as well for us. So yeah, it's a pretty important week. like Kostas, Forgiven, has also posted that today, because they play other teams which are in the table, like stuck to them or close to them anyway. So I consider both games 2-point games rather than 1-point games.
Okay, so we're going to take some questions from Twitch chat. So please, Twitch chat, go ahead. The first one I see is from Intergalactisch. So Fredy, in an interview with Thorin, you said that gaming houses are overrated. Do you still share that sentiment? And if so, why?
I think both. We have the office and the home, so we separate the work and the play and the living. I think both systems are like good and bad at the same. Like they both have flaws. So here, if you in like the office, if you get mad after a scrim or you're annoyed or frustrated, you can't like leave the room and go to your room or anything. And you also like you like lose time traveling here and stuff. But it is nice to split it up, I think. Whereas in a gaming house, it's really chaotic and can be really stressful. But you don't have to travel in the morning, and you will have like always have food there and be able to cook. So I don't know. There's like I'm not sure what I would rather have at this point, but I think both have their good points and both have their bad points. But obviously, being in a gaming house beats everyone being at home in their own country.
We have another question for you, Fredy. Obviously, Rise was a pretty contested pick recently, and people are wondering why didn't they see you playing him? What was the reason?
Rise has never been my favorite champion to play, but and it's a really camp top heavy champion. I don't really enjoy that because when you have a Rise in top lane, then usually both junglers will just spend their entire time in the top lane. But so I didn't really pick it up, or maybe I picked it up this week, who knows? But I also found something to play against it, so that was fine. And in the end, just didn't really care if it was open or not. I think it wasn't as strong as people think. It was obviously a good pick, but you saw like the highlight clips of people one-shotting people. But I think when people were aware of that, then it wasn't that strong.
So there was a very interesting case which happened last week. Candy Panda was given a broken keyboard. Can you please elaborate, Lukas or Fredy, like between you two, what actually happened there?
Well, obviously Elements were like 4-man ganking bot, and Candy Panda was playing Sivir, so we could have just run away, but he couldn't ult and he couldn't heal. So, and people were saying like the pause is unfair. Well, Henry did only survive because they paused. Well, yeah, but we shouldn't have even been in that situation anyway, because if Candy Panda could press R like 5 seconds earlier, it wouldn't even have mattered. So if Enrated had died there, it would have been really unfair to us because we would have used Shenode, we would have lost top tower, like we would have died for no reason. So, you know, I don't know. We paused and he got away, but it wasn't unfair, I don't think.
Are you allowed to elaborate on the process of exchanging hardware? Because I think people would be interested to hear how a broken keyboard actually got to the stage. Or if you're not allowed to, I can understand we can move on to another question.
You have to ask Riot about that one. I don't know.
Fair enough. We'll go for a fun question. Fredy, on a scale of from 1 to 10, how much do you love cookies from Jess's?
7. And why is Jess even watching?
Jesse.
Oh my god. Hi, Jesse.
Okay. Obviously, the Giants game is going to be very interesting, but people have been asking questions around Candy Panda because it was assumed that once Candy steps in and Forgiven goes out, then you will have a noticeable, drop off in form. How has Candy been performing so far from your point of view, Lukas, this time?
I wouldn't say that it's a downgrade whatsoever. Of course, we would have to you can see at C9 what happened there as well. So if you change up, you will always have to. You're always behind compared to the teams which have played together in that group or in that team for a longer period of time, like Fnatic, Origin, and HGK, obviously, because especially in the mid game and how to close out games, everybody has different styles and different minds and how to approach the game. And from my personal point of view, I would rate Adrian Candy Panda pretty high in that regard of the tactical understanding of the game and map movements, and I personally consider that more important than actually to have a strong laning phase.
So we have the most obvious question is SK thinking about Worlds, or do we still have the game-by-game mentality?
We don't think about Worlds. Like, if we go 0-2 this week, and I would say today we're thinking about Worlds, that will make no sense at all. We know we have been getting better, not like jump starting or something, but we're going slowly better. And if we can continue that trend over the course of the next week, and the others don't continue to get better as well, we will climb up in the standings, and then we maybe have a shot at playoffs. This is how I see it. But it's not only on us at the moment, it's as well on the other teams Evolve and what they bring to the table. So I don't think about Worlds, and the team doesn't either. They are thinking maybe about getting to playoffs or avoid relegation. And this is just the mindset.
Right now, we're still thinking that we'd be 4-6 if we didn't throw last week.
Fredy, we already asked about Shen. You said that if you it's a good pick if you have a solid plan going into the game. And another person, let me just find the question. He was asking, are Shen and Gnar your two favorite champions this split?
Probably. They're the ones that worked for us the best so far. I feel like I'm giving out information here, but...
Do you have other two who you enjoy playing the most? Like troll champions of some sort?
We are preparing a lot of troll, actually.
So I should stop asking, like not to reveal anything. So.
Well, you're not gonna get honest answers, let's be honest. So I can say I like Teemo, but it's a lie. So
we're patiently waiting for the Teemo. Twitch chat, my dear Twitch chat, administrative questions will probably not be answered because I'm not really that familiar with regards to jerseys, merchandise, and so on and so on. When Alex comes back, he will probably answer that. Okay, a question from me this time is, which is the hardest top lane opponent you have to face in the upcoming weeks, in your opinion?
Well, probably, in my opinion, Caboshot, but that's not just really facing one opponent, that's like facing two because of the way they play. So the meta right now, you don't really one-on-one that much. You have a lane swap or it's a lot of camping top, so I don't fear anyone, but I think Caboshot is like the hardest because of the way they play, not necessarily just because of him.
So Lukas, we're facing Roccat and Giants. What is the feeling within the camp when you guys face people who are this close to you in the standings? Talking about Roccat, of course. Like it's going to be a tough match. So how do you evaluate the spirits?
Well, currently two team members are in the facility. The others are getting their rituals done. And so I don't have a real impression yet. But I think we want to win that games. And we are capable of doing that. And we know that. And yeah, this is, I think, the general approach towards these games. I would say so. A lot will be especially against Giants, will be of course about top lane and mid lane, because that's where their main carries are located. So we will see about that.
Okay, Twitch chat, give me your best question. Let's see how this goes. Apparently, a lot of G2 members are here saying hi, including Jesse, including Beansu, Interflame as well. So hello to you guys.
Hey.
Okay,
Joe.
John Like Me says, is Fnatic the strongest team in Europe at the moment? Fredy?
Yes.
Are they just strong all over the place, or just strong at this one thing which hasn't been figured out? Like, what do you think?
Strong all over the place right now. So
I wouldn't say so. I found something, Simon. We will talk about that not on the press conference. Yeah, but I would have to agree. Generally, they are the most solid team. You have to admit that this is the way it is, but surely not unbeatable. Generally, and I think the first loss will come in like this week or next week, just from a statistical point of view.
So this is targeted at Fredy. What do you think about the Unlimited and Youngbuck leaving Copenhagen Wolves?
I think it's kind of sad because they're players that have been there for a while. And since I'm one of the older players, it's always kind of sad when you see someone go. Because Youngbuck was around for quite a long time, and now he's gone, I guess. Same for Unlimited, but oh no, I guess there was a bit of a scandal, and not everything has been revealed to the public. So, and I don't know, like it's kind of sad that it happened the way it did, but don't really know.
Lucas, from your perspective, just purely game-wise, because we don't really want to speculate about organizations and internal affairs of any sort. So, Unlimited and Youngbuck leaving the ULCS, two veterans. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I would agree, and I'm a little bit sad as well. And honestly, I don't know if Copenhagen will do themselves a favor with that. I doubt that.
Fredy, are you familiar with the replacement top laner that the Copenhagen Wolves have?
I have no idea who he is actually.
So we're gonna have a wild card clash should you guys face them.
Yeah, but I'll get to see how good he is before that. I don't know when we play them, but it's not this week, so I literally have no idea who he is. I've never seen him.
So, come on, Twitch chat. The EU versus NA, we all know the answer to that, but this is not the place. So Candy Panda and Raider are going to face Rales and Vander potentially, should they not lane swap. Vander was considered a really, really strong support last year. So do you reckon that's still the case? That's a question to both of you. Like, do you reckon that their bot lane could pose a threat?
Simon, you start.
Yeah, I mean, Rales is more passive of an AD carry. That's my opinion. So yeah, they could pose a threat. I don't know. We have to see how the game goes. They could win the lane, they might not, but It's not like if you face Forgiven, you know he's going to try and win the lane. I don't know how hard they will try and how much they will commit to try and win that lane. So I just think they're more passive than they used to be.
Yeah, I would agree on that. I think Vander is a very talented and almost a traditional support already. So one of the oldest in the LCS, and he's pretty good. But I think Rallis will get better. Like he has performed already, but if the weeks goes on, he will get better. And I think in terms of lanes, is pretty 50-50, if you ask me.
Intergalactic, my friend, in Reddit's English is top notch, and he's actually one of the most talkative people I've ever interviewed. An interview which you'll be seeing soon. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so we'll get probably 2 or 3 more questions. The first one I see is, it seems like the atmosphere in the team is extremely good. Is it better than before, or is it just like placebo from the outside?
It's definitely better than before, I think. We'll get along better. It would be even better if we won more games, but right now it's pretty decent. We work together much better, and we always were good at solving problems. And we had a lot of them to solve, but we're on the way to it now, and I think it's much better.
Lukas, what do you think?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I see that the same way, and I perceive that the same way. And yeah, this group has been like, okay, if you take Fox aside, because Fox or Hampus is pretty new, but the others know themselves like for quite a long time now. So all these things, have been working in the past, and so it's easier to conserve, like to keep them the same. So you don't have to like manage at first how to solve things. Like as Simon already pointed out, they're pretty good at that, and I'm pretty proud of that already, I must say. And we will see what the next week or next weeks will bring. But I'm satisfied with the working environment and atmosphere, I must say.
Last question is towards Lukas. Do you feel like Fox gets enough credit? Because I feel like he's really underrated. A question from Dan.
What is credit? I mean, is Reddit talking credit? Like, okay, like we give each other credit, and we know actually who has been playing good and who is not. And like the media and the like press, they always like to make big stories and whatever, but what is important for us is that we work together well as a team, and everybody contributes, and then everybody can be happy about their performance. And it's always a matter of resource distribution. It's always a matter of how we want to carry the game. And yeah, when Hampus or Fox gets to carry, then he's doing it pretty good, and I'm satisfied with him. But I don't think that we should be bothering too much about what the press is saying or what Reddit is saying, because obviously they know maybe 10% or 20% of the real deal. So they always it's always more kind of an assumption than actually a judgment. We do the judgment by ourselves.
Well, gentlemen, I'd like to thank you both for talking to me, talking to Twitch chat. I'd like to thank Twitch chat as well. Good luck against Roccat. Good luck against Giants. And I hope we're going to have a happy talk in a week. So this is all from us. Thank you for watching. And I hope you have your fingers crossed for our team. Good luck.
Thanks. Bye-bye.